Good evening. I'm going over a function report for somebody. It's someone who had previously submitted on a different application. They lost, now they're reapplying, and I like to see what they put on their old one that was part of a denial, a denied case anyway, as well as get their newer information where now they can be receiving an explanation, maybe more clarity on what a question is really asking. People make all sorts of assumptions on the questions on the function report. And I want to say they're often incorrect, and it's to their disadvantage. So the one I am looking at, okay, so this individual has kind of like a TBI, traumatic brain injury after an incident hitting his head. It has resulted in seizures, but seizure medication seems to be handling those. But there is also seemingly some sort of nerve damage, like there was pain in the legs. There is numbness and tingling in the fingers, pretty much constantly. There's also behavioral issues, but that's additional and might actually be the heavy of the case. But it is always important to have some sort of physical limitation, oftentimes very important, because serious mental impairments from a condition might just only succeed in getting you down to unskilled work. And if you have no physical reasons why you can't do some of that more laborious, unskilled work, because a lot of unskilled work takes more exertional effort, then you're going to be stuck with a denial. So that's probably where this is coming from. So I'm trying to get this rectified. One thing I noticed on the function report they had submitted a couple of years ago, and the person wasn't able to fill it out herself, so a spouse was doing it for her. Now, I noticed right off the bat that the question now on this one, it's called personal care, number 15. I know in our videos it's number 12, but they have since been changing some of the places anyway to a different, oh, I scratched that. That is the spouse's rendition of the function report. It's called the 3380, SSA-3380, where they're answering the same questions that the claimant would have, except the claimant isn't able to. And oftentimes they want a third party one anyway. But anyway, so the spouse indicated that there was no problems with personal care. Personal care includes dressing, bathing, caring for hair, shaving, feeding self, using toilet, or other. So what immediately comes to my mind, since I know the basics of the medicals at this early point and of the impairments, if someone has significant leg pain, I would think long and hard about saying there's no problems with these things. Because usually when we have pain in a lower extremity, it's going to be more difficult putting on pants. Maybe we do it slower. Maybe we do it more carefully. So if that has in any way been reduced over the years, whether it's from a particular injury or it was getting reduced due to age all along, and there's also an injury, because if there's an issue with the legs, and even if it's degenerative, it's still a medical impairment, even though you may not have been treating for it all the while. But in any event, I'd be real hesitant to believe that the person doesn't have difficulty getting dressed in so much of, and when I say difficulty, I mean it's affected. It doesn't mean they have to be whining about it. They don't have to be a baby about it. They just get it done. But there's probably little workarounds. Maybe it's going slower. Maybe it is I have to sit on the bed to put on the pants, the socks, the shoes. Maybe the person doesn't use tie shoes anymore. Maybe it's only slip-ons. Also with dressing is fingering, buttoning, and zippering. And if a person has numbness and tingling in their fingers, chances are, even if they can still manage to do it, they probably do it at a much slower rate. So, I try to say to people, if you say there's no problem, then you could probably be a buttoner for an occupation. And I think they probably are noted to exist, those occupations. Whether they do or not anymore is another story. But I keep looking over there at this crazy function report. So always think about how you're putting things on. And again, fingers, if they are, I mean, if I had to button these bad boys, I'd have troubles, and I don't really have, do I probably have a little bit of arthritis in my fingers? I probably do. Do I treat? No, because I manage my life. But if I had a Social Security disability claim, I would want to make sure that they would know that I couldn't be a buttoner or a fastener, or a person who could all day long, because you got to remember, it's about what you can do all day long, because a perfect person without any impairments could button all day long, could zipper all day long, could write letters all day long, could type all day long, do fine little manipulations. They could bend all day long. They could be on their feet all day long. They could be putting on shoes all day long. They could be kneeling all day long. So whenever you have an impairment that doesn't let you do that all day long, give some serious thought as to whether it's due to a medical reason. It might be one that you haven't treated for, like arthritis that you assume you have because you're over 40, but you don't know for sure, bathing, same idea. Think about, did you change from a bath to a shower or vice versa? Do you have a bar in your shower or a chair? Do you only bathe or shower when someone's home in case you fall? All those kind of things might be signs that this is affected. When bathing, and that would again be shower or in a bathtub sitting down, do you have difficulty reaching body parts to clean certain things, bending over to clean the feet, reaching around to clean the back, lifting your arms to wash your hair, that kind of thing? Think of all those things. And if you did switch from say a bath to a shower, because you can't really step in and get out safely of a bathtub, you want to put that down. Had to change from bath to shower because I can't get in and out of the tub. They give you a little bit of space. If your weight's small enough, you could probably squeeze 2 long lines in. Caring for hair. Again, someone who has arm problems might have difficulty reaching up, holding a hair dryer, putting their hair into a certain style. I see a lot of people say, yeah, I just grew it out and put it in a ponytail, so they don't have to do that styling of shorter hair, and some gentlemen say, I haven't had a cut since this accident. So they probably have long hair and ponytail, or a man bun, which is so popular these days. A lot of them goes on a bit about shaving. People leave this blank all the time. And I'm like, well, if you don't shave, but you used to, think about why you're not. Or if you're letting more scruff grow in between shaves, think about why not. It seems like people continue to look at this question as, if I can do it, it is A-okay. And that's not accurate, because consider doing each one of these things 8 hours a day. That might make it more noticeable to you that something is not, that it is impacted. I can't do that 8 hours a day. Because all these things, when we were 20, if we were unimpaired when we were 20, and I know not everybody is, but those things would all be super easy. Using the toilet. How hard is that? There's a double-edged sword there on the old using the toilet. It can be getting up and getting down. It could be difficulty with exertion. It could be difficulty cleaning oneself after. So consider all those things. One person had an answer that they had to get a bidet. And they have those like attachment ones. It doesn't have to be actually a built-in one. Because they had concerns that they weren't able to clean as well the necessaries down there after using the toilet. And I've only heard great things about the bidet, so that might be in my future. Feeding self. This probably goes more to the actual hand-to-mouth business, which would be impacted obviously on someone with problems holding their arms out in front of them, shaking, tremors of the hand. If you eat fine, but it's only because now you eat sandwiches and you don't eat soup because of the tremors, that's impacted. All right. So always think about, like, if you were at a restaurant, what would be things that you would avoid that you might want to have, and why. Cutting food is a big one. doing it safely, doing it at all, if you use special utensils, that kind of thing. All right, so personal care. And again, the question came up today because of this. I know the person is numbness and tingling of the fingers. How can dressing not be impacted? How can buttoning, zippering, and tying shoelaces not be impacted, even if it just means it's slower? Maybe a little more errors, you got to redo them more, maybe you more often ask somebody for help, like the spouse. Hey, would you mind buttoning this for me? My hands are off today. Think of those things. You gotta kind of think deep. And I know it's hard, particularly when you want to, by the time you got this, and this is a big complaint I have about the process at the DDS through the SSA. They send this out with a 10-day window. Sometimes the postmark on their envelope is 3 days after the date of their letter. So now you're at day 7 when it's getting mailed out. Oftentimes people are not getting them till the day before or even the day or two after the date it was due back. If this happens to you, call the adjudicator and say you just got it and you're working on it and you need another 10 days. And then make sure you get it in within those 10 days. If you have a representative, I can't believe I have to say this. If that representative or attorney has said, you send any request you get, you talk to us. We make sure this is going out properly. You don't send anything back to the SSA blind. And in fact, in our practice, we assist and put these all together with the data you give us in our conversations. We do all the typing for you so you don't have to. And then we upload it right away so you don't have to worry about it getting lost in the mail. Yeah. And I think it was 3 people this week who forgot and panicked when they got it. And this is in writing in a lot of our materials. So unless someone's not reading what we sent them, this should never happen. Although I know people have memory problems too. But 3 people, that was a hefty week of this, because normally it's only every so often that someone blows this one. They panicked, filled it out, and shipped it out. Now I have no idea what they said. Although now that we have access to the electronic records express, thank goodness, prior to being at the ALJ hearing level, I will be able to see what they did and see which things were answered inaccurately due to confusion and misunderstanding the question. And I'll cringe. And but as I told them, I'm like, don't do it again, but it's water under the bridge. Let's move on, move forward. And the medical records should be the thing we're relying on, So while you do not want to screw these up because they can really help you get a loss, what's going to get you the win is the strength of your medical records. So remember, even for that pinky finger that's stiff with arthritis, but you hardly ever need to use it, so you don't even think about it, get it worked up. Go to orthopedist for a hand. That's what I would do. All right. So number 12, again, the whole do not check off no problem. If you do, you better not have been complaining of a single physical problem, because I don't think any of these or all of these could be no problem if you have a physical problem. Okay. I mean, even with a migraine, which doesn't specifically address any of these things, would you be able to get dressed spiffily in the midst of a nauseating, vomiting migraine? My bet is no, you wouldn't be able to stand up and do that. So you see what I'm saying? It doesn't have to even be joint problems. So anyway, I reiterate this. I know I'm a nag about this, but this is so important. All right. Ciao for now. Bye.